How about the flapters that the Dola family uses? Oh, wing came off, but don't worry, it comes right back on. Flapters fly using the vibration of wings moved by electrically powered artificial muscles, so it's half sci-fi. There is an image where the driver starts the engine by inserting a crank here and turning it by hand. That feels kind of retro, no? But the idea of using a generator to make electricity as a driving force is actually pretty new in the Industrial Revolution. Actually, generators were invented before motors. The mechanism of a motor was accidentally discovered during the Vienna International Exhibition in 1873, when an engineer wired a generator wrong and caused the backflow of electricity. But that made the generator start moving on its own, and people were like, what? So the motor was discovered through that accident? But Dola's ex-husband or lover, who invented the flapters, didn't know the relationship between generators and motors. So he tried to move the wings by artificial muscles with the electricity generated by an engine. This idea of using artificial muscles with electricity was discovered by a doctor and physicist called Galvani in the late 18th century in Italy. He discovered that if you electrify the legs of dead frogs, they move. This is famous portrait of Galvani, but you see the image of a dead frog and electrode. It must suck for him to have this as the most famous portrait. Anyway, the discovery itself was super sensational. In high-class salons in Europe back then, not only sports and fine arts, but also science was a popular topic. Now, I already talked about this 2 years ago. A famous poet during that time called Lord Byron read Galvani's theory in a newspaper article. He was with his poet friend called Percy Shelley and his 16-year-old fiancée with whom he eloped, called Mary. Well, there was one more person, but that's not important. When they were at the holiday house at the bank of Lake Leman in Switzerland, he read the article and said, "This is cool, let's make this into a novel." And they said, "Yeah, let's do it." But only Mary actually wrote it. That novel she wrote about an artificial body that moves by electricity was later recognized as Frankenstein. But I already talked about this part a year and a half ago. Flapter is a machine that's made with shafts and gears, which people today can understand the structure of. So they are realistic except for the artificial muscles, which I think are more science fictional. Now, let's